Again, also another unsustainable habit is wanting to lift. I mean, when you go to the gym, you want to start with the heaviest because you think that will give you quick results. And really, it's not about that. I think physical exercise is not. It's a science also in terms of which parts do you really want to train and target with the exercise that you're doing. So,
cancer, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and asthma are all examples of non-communicable diseases, and sadly, these diseases are the leading cause of death globally. But do they really affect us here in Africa? And are Africans really living with these diseases? Find out here at the African NCD Champions Podcast as we share incredible stories of Africans living with non-communicable diseases. My name is Ogweno Stephen, and I'll be your host. Let's roll.
Alright, welcome to episode 4 of the African NCD Champions Podcast. And what are we talking about today?
Okay, today we are talking about building sustainable physical exercise to beat non-communicable diseases.
So are we building sustainable physical exercise or exercise routines and habits?
Yeah.
Alright, so I think we'll just jump into it, and maybe the first question for you will really be talk to us about the topic, expound it further in terms of what really are the details of what we might want to be talking about today.
Okay, thank you, Steve. In this episode, we're going to talk about, like as I've said, building sustainable physical exercise habit. And as we might have heard in the last or in the previous episodes, we have talked about physical or lack of physical exercise as one of the risk factors for non-communicable diseases. And so we want to expound on how really you can build that sustainable physical exercise habit, because it's really about building habit. Piecemeal interventions like just doing physical exercise once and stopping will not really build beat non-communicable disease, and that's why we're talking about building sustainable physical exercise and the habits really. And we want to look at how that is linked to beating non-communicable disease. So I think I want to start this discussion by just throwing a question to you around what does it mean by building a sustainable physical exercise habit? What does that really mean?
Yeah, so thank you very much for the question. I think I'll take this in 3 instances. So there's the building, there is the sustainable, which is a part of this, and then there is the habit formation, which is the underlying layer behind the building of behavior. So when you're looking at building sustainable habits, especially on physical health, with the goal of reducing non-communicable diseases, essentially what we are talking about is how can we be able to develop routines, how can we be able to develop behaviors, how can we be able to develop habits that make physical health not something that we are thinking about actively and that the brain is struggling with engaging actively, rather as an activity that comes subconsciously to us, because it's now transformed from a forced behavior into a habit. So essentially is how are we creating systems, how are we creating structures, how are we automating even our own internal beliefs and thought processes around physical health and physical exercise, with the goal of making physical health and physical exercises a sure activity that we engage in on a daily without having to think about it. And one good example I want to give, just as in closing, to really what the conversation is going to be about, is David Goggins, the toughest man on earth, as a lot of people call him. So David Goggins is the kind of guy who every day, whether it's raining, whether it's sunshine, whether he's not feeling well, whether he's sick, he has to run. He has to put his hours for the run in, whether what happens. And it has gotten to the point where it's a subconscious habit. It says stay hard. When it's cold and when you don't want to do it, you stay hard and you do it nonetheless. I think that's the kind of attitude that we want to explore today. How can individuals really move into developing a sustainable health habit? And now the sustainable part is what I want to also talk to in a few instances. A lot of health habits, especially physical health habits, we are talking here exercise, we are talking here running, we are talking here yoga, we are talking about stretching. A lot of these exercises, individuals adopt the very hardest exercises and they can't maintain them over the long term. And so they are not sustainable. So again, we are going to be talking about how can we choose the right types of interventions and the right types of habits to ensure that these exercises are sustainable. It's just the same way there is this quote amongst gym goers that you don't go to the gym on the first week and lift the heaviest weights on that week. You will not come back the next week. So that is not sustainable. So that is the other thing. A lot of people fail to meet their physical health goals because they are adopting short-term, unsustainable interventions when it comes to physical health. And then lastly is the physical health itself, which is also, I think, something we'll talk about is how our what is physical health and what types of physical activities and habits could be inculcated in an individual's lifestyle to ensure that they are building up their bodies and they are getting healthier. So I think that is the gist of the conversation today, and I think I'd like to throw the very next question to you is now actually start by giving us some examples of, let's start with the bad, some examples of unsustainable habits that individuals have adopted over the long term, ensuring or giving it sure bet that they cannot improve their physical health over the long term.
Well, okay, that's a complex questions in a manner of speaking, talking about the unsustainable physical health habits that people have really adopted. I mean, there are a plethora of unsustainable physical exercise people have adopted. I would start with, reflecting on, personally, these are things that I think were, part of my physical exercise habits. When I did not really know how I could build that sustainable physical exercise or habit. I mean, I used to, it's something that you've also been talked about, me getting into the gym, and I want to spend hours on end there, thinking that, the more hours I spend, the more I'm becoming physical. It could be true, but that is counterproductive in the long run. Because, I think I'm already being trying to preempt what we're going to talk about as ways of building sustainable exercise. But one of those unsustainable exercise or habits that I really developed was just spending or clocking hours in the gym, wanting to be the one who comes early and even leaves late, and I found that to be very, very unsustainable because human beings, there's only a lot that you can do, and the number of hours that you can work, and the body is also wired in a way that it doesn't want to do hard things. So you spend hours on end at the gym, and that is really unsustainable, and that is something that I used to do. Another unsustainable physical exercise habit was going really too far from where I live just for exercise. And I found myself, going like 4 to 5 kilometers just to go and exercise. I didn't realize that really I could do it where I live. So you're wasting a lot of time. That time you could have used to do something else. And I use that. I spend almost, I don't know how many hours on the road just to go and exercise. It's 1 hour going, 1 hour coming back. That is so, I think it's so unsustainable. And again, also another unsustainable habit is wanting to lift. I mean, when you go to the gym, you want to start with the heaviest because you think that will give you quick results. And really, it's not about that. I think physical exercise is not. It's a science also in terms of which parts do you really want to train and target with the exercise that you're doing. So, I mean, the three that I can quickly mention is me spending hours on end at the gym. That was really unsustainable. And another one that I've mentioned is now going to the gym. I mean, that is subscribe to a gym that is really not near the place where I live, because it takes time for you to even get there. By the time you get there, you're already tired and you can't do it. And also just wanting to be the one who's lifting the heaviest in the gym when I could start, because exercise is about building endurance. So I'm starting with the things that I've not built endurance for, and the next day I just don't want to wake up and go lift those big weights.
Yeah, sure thing. And I think I want to add two more to the list. One is neglecting the stretching, and a lot of the time, this is also for me personally, neglecting stretching the body and really allowing for blood flow to move across the body, leading to stiff muscles and sometimes even accidents at the gym and elsewhere. So that has been a huge unsustainable physical practice that I've adopted. And I think the other one to add on top of, so stretching of course would involve yoga and would also involve other types of stretches to ensure that there is flexibility and building of functional muscles. And then I think the last one that I'll add to that list is neglecting or choosing exercises that are not right for your body or for your body type or for the stage in which you are at the moment. So there's a lot of fancy exercises that are there online but are not right for you. So if you're doing those types of exercises and not taking the whole self into consideration, then you might be engaging in unsustainable physical routines that actually lead to the detriment of your physical health rather than to the empowering of your physical health.
Yeah, but I think if we're talking about unsustainable thing, I don't know whether it brings the aspect of bad, really, whether unsustainable also mean bad habit. I mean, if you were to bring that core point, then I think habits like, you going to the gym only to come back and eat also food that is not right for you, or you're not really looking at portion and all that. So I think that is also unsustainable, but also very a bad habit that you can pick, going to exercise but coming back and eating, because they also say everything happens in the kitchen. So if you cannot match the exercise you're doing with the right kind of food, then I think that's also not being sustainable.
I think also that speaks to one of the common behaviors or common norms that goes is that you can outrun the calories. You will go and run 5 kilometers and then come and eat your burger and fries and say that because I ran those 5 kilometers, I already burnt the calories for those 5 kilometers. That is part of the reason why they say if you can't balance it in the kitchen, what you're doing in the physical side of things, then really you've just solved one problem and compensated it with another problem. So you've cancelled those two things out. Which brings me to the next part of this conversation, which is examples of strategies that can be adopted by individuals to really start developing sustainable physical health habits. And in fact, maybe we even start with what are some of those examples?
Okay, well, I think this is a good question. This the part that I was really waiting for.
I know.
Because it's something that I've written about. So it's, again, I would say close to my heart and passionate about it. Building strategies to build sustainable physical exercise. And number one, what I do advise people, really plan well with the exercise that you're going to do. But again, beyond planning, where are you doing your exercise? That's the first thing. I mentioned that, I used to go to KU. Actually, we used to go with you to KU. Then I realized where I'm staying, going to Kenyatta University every day to go and train, which was really, nice. I realized that I was wasting a lot of time, and I realized that if I can do this exercise where I live, because most of the time where habits are formed are where they can also be practiced. So if I form these habits right at home, I can really be able to keep them, or practice this habit. So one of the things that I do advise is that if you can do it where you live, the better. Instead of having to commute to go and do, to go to the gym or something. If you can have your gym equipments at home, the better. I know that there's this euphoria with going to the gym and people wanting to be there and where people are, which is just good. But you realize that sometimes this is not sustainable because most of the time these things are not near where you live. Of course, there are people who have gym, whatever, the spaces where they live. For them, that is fine. But what I'm trying to say, if you can do it in your bedroom, if you can do it in your sitting room, the better. You are able to do it there than having to commute to go do it somewhere else.
Yeah, on that point, I just want to add that instead of bringing the aspect of also developing alternative or not developing, really exploring alternative avenues to getting the same workout in. Because you could not do it in the gym, find alternatives to help you do it at home. So that's also something else that needs to be, put alongside the point of really finding ways to save time and making it work for you. All right, so I'll let you continue.
Yeah, so I think the other thing that I want to mention is about just being consistent. A lot of people want to get to the gym, and this is something that also, when I talk, I'm very passionate about it because I used to do this a lot. Get to the gym and want to lift that one over there. And I think that is very unsustainable, and it requires you to be consistent in terms of what is it that you start with, what do you go to next. But again, consistency is about doing it each and every day. There's no point of you starting to do exercise if you know you can't sustain that thing. And it also comes from the point of people wanting to start with gusto and the energy is high and all that. And sometimes I look at people and I realize that these people can only do it for 1 week and they're going to stop because the way they're enthusiastic about it and all that, I just want to watch them for the next 2 weeks and see whether they're going to sustain that. So consistency really is the key, that you can really maintain that and do it each and every day. Number 3.
Hey, so before you go to number 3, just to add on that point. So there is research that came out that shows that one of the biggest reasons why individuals, especially individuals going to the gym or adopting a workout, never get to see the results of those workouts is because they switch up the routines too often. Research shows that you need up to around 8 weeks on a consistent workout routine or exercise routine or regimen to actually be able to see results, which again speaks to the point of being consistent with working out and being consistent with the type of workouts you're doing to target the various muscles or the various components of the body. All right, now I'll let you continue.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a good addition. What I wanted to also mention is people, you need to fall in love with the process and not really the progress. You'd rather start with the process than the progress. A lot of people, I'm seeing this thing online, you're telling you, if you do this calisthenic workout today in 6 or in 21 days, a record 21 days, you'll already developed abs. These are things that are, for me, I think they're just marketing gimmicks and not really possible. Nothing, in terms of physical exercise can be so quick like that. And even those who have built those bodies and do the shapes of their body are those who have been in the gym and have been consistent every day. And so if you are looking at the progress and you're saying, okay, fine, I just want to do it for 3 weeks and see if I already seeing some 6 packs or whatever, then you're going to stop when you don't see those 6 packs. So really fall in love with the process. The process is falling in love with the habit. that I've built this habit that today I want to exercise. Every day you look forward to waking up and doing exercise. Another thing that I would mention really is making it simple. What people don't understand is that, as I've mentioned, I keep on repeating that the body is wired this way, that it doesn't want to do something that is difficult. It wants things that are easy. That is how the body is wired. So if you're waking up to maybe an exercise that is so strenuous and all that, and high intensity exercise, I mean, sometimes the body will be not willing to wake up to it. But if it is simple, for me, for what I really found working for me so nice, I wake up every day and do my 10 minutes abs workout. If it is a full body workout, only 30 minutes and I'm done. And I'm not worried about whether, I've started building abs or what. I want to fall in love with the process. Then the rewards will come and I will start to see them. So once I build that habit, then I'll be able to do it every day. So the thing is, make it simple. Let the body be able to reward you in due course.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. Really, on the last 2 points. One on just making it simple. There is a lot of resistance that comes with hard things. So you need to hack the body. That's essentially what you're talking about. You need to hack how the body thinks. You need to make it so easy for you to be able to just wake up and just get into the routine without too much sweat and too much preparation and whatnot. But also the other thing that, as you've mentioned, that is very important, especially when it comes to really developing the sustainable physical behavior, is that there is a consistent need for you as an individual to ensure that as you engage in these workouts, that you have the right goals and that you focus on the right things. If developing abs, and abs has been used a lot in this conversation as a marker of progress, if we use that as a marker of progress, you might be very, very discouraged when you don't see them. Because part of it, they are genetic. The other part, it takes a lot of time to burn the necessary fats over there. And if someone is telling you you'll get it in 21 days, and 21 days come and you are still your normal body weight with some fat over your waistline, it will discourage you and you will end up dropping what was already beginning to help you develop a healthier lifestyle. So I think that's another very key point that you've also brought across that really emphasizes on the need for being consistent and following the right goals.
Yeah, and I think I want to elevate this conversation to many questions around really what is the connection between, because we are talking about physical exercise, but we have to not veer off the conversation and talk about its relation to non-communicable diseases. So I think you may want to expound on really the connection between building sustainable physical exercise and now NCDs.
Good. So that's a very, very interesting and also straightforward question. Physical exercise, so let me start from the opposite. Sedentary living or not being engaged in physical activity is one of the top 5 biggest risk factors to non-communicable diseases, because it has also been termed as worse than smoking. If you're just sitting, you are on the couch, you are a couch potato, as they say, you're just on the couch, on your table, on your couch, and not engaging in physical activity, it's worse than smoking because it affects all major systems in your body. Some of the more obvious ones is it leads up to clogging of the various blood vessels, because if the blood is not encouraged, I'd say, to flow in the body quickly because of the physical exercise that increases the cardiovascular health, then the blood clogs, the heart becomes weak. Something shocks you a little bit, you're already fainting because your heart is not strong enough to really sustain the shock of such events. So it leads to a lot of cardiovascular health. There is also some types of cancers that have been linked to physical inactivity. So it already puts you as well on the risk of developing these types of cancer. Again, mental health and mood. So physical exercise has been shown to be a curative measure to improving mood, anxiety, depression, because the body releases hormones that elevate the spirit of the body. They are called the feel-good hormones, the endorphins that repair the body, but also that make you feel good and improves your mood. So if you're not engaged in active physical activity and you are stressed, the answer is simply to switch it up and get back to the physical activity. So there's a lot of interconnection between physical activity and non-communicable diseases, and a lack of physical activity puts you at risk for a lot of the non-communicable diseases, especially the cardiovascular diseases and mental illnesses and some types of cancers. At the same time, engaging in active physical activity prevents you from developing these diseases, but more than that, it improves your bone structure. It improves your brain acuity because a lot of blood is being supplied into the brain and you're more sharp, and it leads to a lot of development. And people who develop active physical regimens, even in their old age, end up not developing a lot of these chronic diseases. So there's a very close interconnected link between physical health and non-communicable diseases, and as a result, it is highly encouraged for individuals to engage in physical exercises and physical routines, even if they are not seeing the results immediately. To keep up and be in love with the process, knowing that every day when I wake up and I go and do my stretches, I go and do my yoga, I go and do my cardio exercises or running, I go and lift weights and do resistance training, I'm contributing to improving my health. I think that's the right attitude that should be adopted.
I like what you mentioned around physical health being linked to physical exercise being linked to mental health, and how the hormone being released makes you feel good, and the dopamine that runs and all that makes you feel good. But I also think it's about when you're able to work on your physical body or your physique, and how do you feel? You feel great that you're in the right size and you're not wearing the wrong size of the body you wanted to wear and all that. So I think that is also how it's connected to mental health, that I feel that I'm confident. My self-esteem is shooting through the roof and all that. And I think it's also around you talking about the immediate gratification, people wanting to see that result the next day. I think we need to shed off that immediate gratification attitude, and be able to just get into physical exercise, knowing that in due course the body will reward you by giving you what you want. So you have to put in the body of work first to be able to achieve what you want, and it will take time, but surely the results will suffice.
Yeah, so sure thing. So I'd sort of like to bring this conversation to a close now with two key pointers when it comes to really building physical health routines to help you prevent and also control non-communicable diseases. One is have the right objectives. Don't go into the physical health exercise. You might go for the abs as a short-term goal, but the long-term goal is really to improve your health over the long term. But also the second thing as a key pointer is fall in love with the process. Make it as easy as possible to engage in, so that every day it becomes a no-brainer. You wake up, you get your 10 minutes done, you are done. You wake up, you get your 30 minutes done, you are done. And then engage in physical activity throughout the day. So that's the other thing. Just be active, stand, walk, go there, drink something, be busy, and the more you engage in physical activity and the more you make it easy for you, the more you prevent yourself from developing non-communicable diseases. But more than that, the more you improve your overall health, wellness, confidence, and strength.
And again, the fact that, just to add as we finish, the fact that NCDs are as a result of those habits that we develop during our adolescence. I think having these right habits like physical exercise will help you to, it's likely that during your old age, you are likely to also continue with them. this physical exercise, and also promote healthy aging. You don't want to die. I mean, we don't want to make old age to become a misery. You can be a very active old man and die a very active guy. Yeah, so I want to die a very active guy instead of
at 98, still at the gym, lifting and running and doing all of this work. All right, and with that, we will see you on the next one.
Now that was incredible. Thank you for listening in. Share this with your networks and follow us on all social media at Storelink and at NCD Champions. See you on the next one.